Hey guys, welcome back to this session, and in this session we'll talk about data division in COBOL program. So the data division is generally used to declare the data item that will be processed in the procedure division of the COBOL program. There are 7 different sections in data division and each section has a special purpose. Now let's discuss each section one by one. The first section of data division is file section, and it is used to define the structure of files that you have defined or declared in your environment division. So for each select statement, you have to specify the file description or FD entries or SD entries in file section. And remember, FD entries is generally used for normal file and SD entries is generally used for sort files. The next section is working storage section, and it is used to declare all the temporary variables and record structure that is used in your COBOL program. Then you have local storage section, and it is used to define storage that is allocated and freed on pre-invocation basis. On each invocation, the data items in the local storage are reallocated, and each data item that has a value clause is initialized to the initial value which is specified in that clause. The next section is linkage section, and it is used to define the fields that must be passed to a subprogram from a calling program. The next section is communication section, and it is used to create a control block which is required for communication, and it is release dependent. The next section is report section, and it is used to describe report descriptor entries which is required for report writer module. And the last one is screen section, and it is used to describe labels and data item which will be required for formatted input and output in case of an application program which is developed for personal computer. So when you write a COBOL program, it does not mean that you need to include details in all sections. In fact, it depends on the nature of the program and your business requirement. So let's say you are writing a COBOL program that is dealing with some sequential file. So in that case, you have to specify file details in the input output section, and thereafter you have to define the structure in file section. Similarly, working storage section, you're going to define some variables that you'll be using in procedure division. On the other hand, let's say you want to write a program that is calling some subprogram and it is not using any file, right? So in that case, you need to specify details in working storage section in case if you want to use some variables, and in the linkage section. So linkage section, as I already mentioned, is used to define variables that will be used to pass data from main program to subprogram. Now let me showcase the example so that you can clearly understand how these sections and subsections are interlinked and how you have to define the details which is required. So in this case, we have a data division, and thereafter you have a file section. So if you notice, in file section, I've defined the file structure, and this is a normal file that I'm using. So I've used FD. So in case if I'm using any file for sorting, then I would be using SD for that. Thereafter, I've used working storage section where I've defined some switches to handle my processing in procedure division. Then you have linkage section where I've defined few variables, and the value of these variables will be passed to a subprogram which is being called from my main program. So this is how you define data division in your COBOL program as per your requirement. So till now, if you have any question, then do let me know. Otherwise, let's move on to our next lecture.